So, Kyle Loomis is no longer a Leaf. He has decided not to resign. Now, I want to talk about the very last moves, firstly. Secondly, Shanahan, because I think he's been in the wings, behind the scenes, far too long, doing far too little. But first, we have Jake McCabe for 2 more years. For a first round pick, you get a second or third pairing defenseman who cost us goals against Florida. Was he worth a first? Tough one, but anyway, we've got him. Ryan O'Reilly is probably not signing. Was he worth a first? No. Did we get past the first round? Yeah. Did we do anything in the second round? No. What a waste of a pick. A pick that would have been a player on an entry level contract for 3 years and had the potential to be with us for a decade, like the Marners, Matthews, Nylanders. I think it was Kyle throwing in his chips at the last minute, trying to save his job. Joseph Woll played for 15 games and played in the playoffs. That equals 1 year of no entry level contract gone. So we've only got him for 2 more years. I think that was a bad move. And what was the bad move? Not playing Wall. I'm not saying like, wow, Wall shouldn't have played, because Wall's good. Love Wall, actually. He's a solid goalie. Really like him. Had we not let go of Freddie, had we not traded Trevor Moore, who plays very well for LA, for Jack Campbell, who plays very poorly for Edmonton, we wouldn't have needed to sign someone like a Matt Murray, who didn't play well for us and cost us 4.5 in cap space. We wouldn't have needed to sign a Samsonov, who let in at least 1 weak goal per game in the playoffs. So these things compound, is what I'm saying, and that's, you're like, oh well, it doesn't matter. We had to win now. We didn't win now. We weren't going to win now. Because as I said, every year for the last 6 years, Marner, Matthews, and Nylander don't show up in the playoffs. They're not playoff performers. Never have been. I don't think they ever will be. And I think Florida has given us a very strong indication, and Carolina, and Vegas, and Dallas. How are those teams built? They're all quite similar. Very solid keepers, solid goalie, two goalies in Carolina's sense. Bobrovsky for Florida, I don't know, he just decided to start playing well. Um, and good two-way forwards with very few players who are just out-and-out scorers. Not none, but very few. So that was another wasted move. The Nyes move, I said don't play Nyes. He's too young. He's a college kid. You don't put him up against Tampa, who's been to 3 finals and still has all those good players and know how to muck it up. Because he doesn't have the experience. And, the Leafs always do this. They bring young players in like Wall and Nyes and go, oh, they're going to save us. They're great. They're amazing. Oh, my God. Nyes was a 52nd pick overall, but it's okay to trade firsts for Foligno to get rid of Marlowe's contract. It was only 1 more year. To get rid of, who else did we get? To get McCabe, to get Riley, to get Foligno. Why waste these picks? These guys are first rounders. We could have had that's 4 or 5 first rounders. I think it's such short-term thinking, and I think Dubas was always trying to save his job and hoping year on year that something would be different. It wasn't. I said it before the trade line, don't let him trade those picks away. Now the new GM coming forward has no picks and has no Ryan O'Reilly. Dear. Anyway, Shanahan and Dubas. Okay, so here's where I don't like Dubas, and I've never liked him from the beginning. Not as a person. He's a nice guy. He's soft, pliable, malleable, friendly, uses your name when you speak to him. But that is not what's required of a GM. A GM's got to be ruthless and calculating and shrewd and have the perception to understand the kind of people we need on the team to win. And Dubas didn't understand that. Great regular season team. Isn't that wonderful? Tickets are sold. That's not what most of us Leaf fans want. What we want is a playoff run with a solid team. A run. A conference final, Final Four. Fun. A team we can get behind and believe in. So, do Shanahan tells Dubas, don't have this press conference. Dubas has this press conference and cries about his family and how it's hard on them. You don't hear Lou Lamoriello crying about how this job is hard on his family. Dubas can't even manage his own family. You see what I'm saying? You know, how is he running it's just the Toronto organization, just so dumb, it's unbelievable. So he doesn't, rather than telling Shanahan, look, I'm finished, I don't want to do this job anymore, he ums and ahs and has meetings and emails and kind of hangs around and until Shanahan goes, hang on a minute, that's not good enough, and fires him. Should have been done 3 years ago. And in all honesty, I said at the time, Shanahan should have had the nous and understanding to know what kind of GM we need in there to build a team around our stars. Say you have Matthews, Marner, and Nylander, right? Young guys, 2017, going to have the best offense in the league. You put the Kadris, Browns, Hyman, Moore, Matt Martin, Spezza, Acciari, even Lafferty, Kampf, around those guys. So you have a solid two-way team. And with that toughness and tenacity, you make a cup run. You don't put an $11 million slow one-way player who stands in front of the net and puts garbage goals in and pay him $11 million. It was the worst move. The worst move ever. We didn't need it. If you're going to spend 11, get a stud defenseman to replace Riley and trade Riley for, I mean, you keep Kadri, but you trade Riley for a top left winger. And then your top line becomes top left winger, Matthews, Nylander. Who do you have on the left line? On the left side, Kadri, Marner, and even a Bunting. Fine, It's like it's too much tinkering for very reactionary. I would say trading our future away. Sorry, getting back into Dubas's reign, but he's soft-headed. That's the problem. He's soft-headed and weak and everyone's friend, and we're going to the Bruce Springsteen concert. Then we're not going to show up for the Edmonton game. It's all right there. It's really, really obvious. That is not the mentality that wins you a cup. End of story. Shanahan should have seen it a long time ago. I don't think Shanahan's done a good job. It's clear that he hasn't had, it doesn't look like anyway, he's had any input on the trades. It seems like Dubas is just doing his own thing. And, because we don't want to offend anyone, what has happened to our culture? It's a nonsense. So, I would say Dubas's reign wasn't a catastrophe on the surface, but in the future, we have huge problems going forward because we don't have cap space because of Tavares, the big contracts to Matthews, Marner, the Murray contract is just not worth it. For 20 games played. And we have no picks. Nyes is concussed. He'll come back, but, thrown into a situation he shouldn't be thrown into. Wall, too much is going to be expected of Wall. Whether or not he'll burn out by the playoffs, we'll see. Um, and it's just short-term thinking, and the cupboard is bare, and it's going to take a steady hand on the tiller and a long-term build. You have to, year by year, slowly make the right moves to build the team. And it's tricky because we have no picks. So I don't know. I think Shanahan should be gone. I don't like it. Who's he going to get in? Another Dubas clone? We'll see. We'll see. But I don't like it. I'm glad Dubas is gone. I think his time was finished. Don't like the job he did. Don't like the team he put together. Um, I like the way Carolina's run. They didn't make any trades at the trade deadline. They've got our man Freddie Anderson. Just went to a fourth overtime first playoff game against Florida. Okay, Kachuk scored on him, but Kachuk was sat there in the slot, no one on him, had a free shot, you know. But he played an amazing game, and no trades made, and they're in the conference final, and they're a solid team that you can get behind and believe in that have a chance. That's all we're asking for. It's not rocket science. Um, had we not signed JT, we could have signed Freddie. We could have signed, kept on, hung on to Kadri, and could have signed Hyman. So it's a shame. Dubas has wasted two generational talents, and those two generational talents don't understand what it takes to win in the playoffs. Anyway, I don't think any of them should be back. I mean, that you're going to say that's insane, but the only one I would consider keeping is Nylander because he kind of plays well in the playoffs, and if you have a good team around him, he'll be okay. Matthews and Marner as leaders of this team? No. The Bennetts, the Kachucks, those guys are leaders, and those are the kinds of guys we need. And I pray to God the new GM will see that. Let's see who he is and see what he does.